I know it's been a long little minute, but welcome back. You're tuning in to episode 8 of Nowhere to Hide. But if you're new here, my name is Alexis. I am the host, and let's just get right into it because there are definitely reasons on why it's taken me this long to really just come back with a new episode. Like, life just be hitting you when you least expect it and throwing things your way. And that is definitely what has been happening to me since like the holidays, just one thing after the other. But that's not even the whole reason why I'm even making this podcast episode. Not to spill the tea on my life, even though I'm definitely going to do it and get into that. But I also want to just update you guys on my feelings, not only with my podcast and what I'm trying to do with it, but also just the new ideas and topics that I'm ready to bring you guys because I have so much in my head and I'm just ready. Like, I feel like I'm at a point from all of life's challenges to where I can bounce back and finally produce the content that I'm really wanting to produce for you guys. But just to dial it back, just a lot has happened to me since the holidays and everything. Like, literally, it started in November. But to put it in a nutshell, I broke up with my boyfriend of 6 years, the one that I had on the podcast, and yeah, like, it was very much a rough first couple months there. Just my first heartbreak, if I'm being quite honest, and heartbreak is not fun, and now I get the songs and everything truly, like, it's not fun. Heart is still breaking, like, it's just really hard when 1, it's really hard when you break up with someone, but also when you still love that person too. Yeah, it's a lot, but I also found out too that my dad had cancer late last year. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer, but not even to dwell on the upsetting part of that. The good news of that is that they found out it didn't spread on Valentine's Day and then he just had surgery and got out of it this past week. So now he's in recovery and it's looking up from here. We're just hoping for the best, but definitely during the times of just finding out and, depressing myself because I've just had a history, I guess you could say, with having people battling cancer around me, but I did lose my late friend to cancer in high school. Her name was Allie Hoy. And I guess finding out that my dad had cancer too, it really just triggered me back to high school and just her up and down journey with it, thinking she beat it and then she didn't, and just seeing what she had to go through during her chemotherapy process. I feel like just when I found out my dad had it, it really just, you know, had me just thinking I'm that type of person when something bad is to happen or just anything in general. I'm very scenario based. So I'll just be preparing myself in my head for potential situations by creating scenarios, if you catch my drift. So definitely when I found out my dad had cancer, I was doing that scenario thing. And yeah, there were the good scenarios of what could happen, but also it's like my mind was prepping me by imagining the worst case scenario. Yeah, just it's been a whirlwind from breaking up with my long-term relationship and finding out my dad had cancer. All the while, that was the same month I was taking my RBT exam and just trying to get a jump start on my career in ABA therapy. It was a lot, but I feel like by January of this year, like beginning of this year, things were getting better with like coping personally with the heartbreak of just ending my relationship and, you know, trying to have positive thoughts when it comes to my dad and his cancer. And I was getting the hang of stuff with my job. But fast forward again to now, I feel like, now I'm at a place not only with my ex, Josh, now that we're at a place too where we can really just, talk about everything because we're both going through heartbreak together. And not to mention, we're still in the same lease. So it's like not only are we going through heartbreak of our relationship, but we're also like having to do it together, which is not like, the best scenario. But we're honestly really doing good. And I feel like just we're both at a good place where we're able to talk about it, even weirdly enough, help each other through some of the things that we're going through. Dad finished like his surgery. Things are looking up for him. Like, y'all, I feel like I'm finally at a place where I can kind of breathe and really focus again on my little hobbies, which is this podcast as one of them, and just, really focusing on myself too. Cause even getting out of a relationship, especially when it's long term like that, I think I'm just honestly just trying to get used to being independent, if you will, again, just really trying to focus on myself, reconnecting with myself, finding the things that make me happy and what I like spending time on a regular basis. But definitely, this podcast is one of those things, and I'm going to lock in, I swear. Like, yeah. But that's the nutshell of just everything I've been have going on, or I've been having go on these last couple months. But now I'm ready to get into it. Like, just working on the podcast, just been getting my mental health to a point to where I know I'm able to just put my mind to the things I need to do. I just feel like it was very much an up and down, just depressive, non-depressive roller coaster I was going through, but that's life, guys. That is life. But one of the things I also want to talk about too, despite all the craziness, like with having all this time off from my podcast, it's just honestly made me reevaluate too, just what I'm doing here for you guys and like what truly matters to me in regards to this podcast. Cause really looking back over the last year when I started it, I feel like I put a lot more pressure on myself on this podcast, having a certain structure, put a lot of pressure on myself when it comes to the audience that I want or the audience that I could potentially get, what they're looking for, what they're not looking for, blah, 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 blah. Where now, especially taking just these few months off, I feel like me at the beginning of this podcast journey, that would have killed me. And it still kind of killed me because, I love podcasting. Like, I really love talking on this mic by myself with my cat in my room, like just spilling all the tea. I love doing that. But at the same time, it's like, just I realized taking that break, okay, now I'm at a place too where it's not the end of the world if I'm taking this long break, even though I told viewers that I will have an episode out at this certain time, whatever, like it's okay. And once I realized that whole it's okay, because at the end of the day, this isn't a job. I still have my 9 to 5. Like, this is a hobby. I can be more lax about it. But it's like, you know, what am I trying to do honestly with this? And personally, like my personal answer actually that I'm trying to do with this podcast is one, I feel like this podcast for me is an easy outlet to express my feelings on certain topics and ideas and discussions and whatever. Like, I don't know, I've already dove into the fact that Africans, at least most Africans, it's hard for us to really get vulnerable, talk about our feelings. I feel like it's a trend throughout African families, foreign families in general, but me speaking with my African culture, it's like, it's really hard to truly get vulnerable. And when I say vulnerable, it's not because we can be outspoken and say our feelings, but when it comes to truly like what drives those feelings, it's kind of hard to express. But I've always been a kid, like my siblings and family members can vouch for it because I used to always have my iPad on me. I used to create videos. I even used to make videos. Thank God I didn't make any on YouTube though. That could come back and bite me. I think it was this old app called Keek, like Keek. but I used to like vlog, share my feelings. Like I've always had that like persona and I always wanted to like make my mark in the world in that way, I guess. And I don't know. It's like reflecting on my life, especially just throughout these last couple months. It's like it makes sense as to why I chose this outlet of expression for myself. But again, to answer, it kind of also goes into what I'm trying to do for later episodes. And maybe I've mentioned this before, but I definitely plan on having just family members on my podcast, specifically older family members, just to get a more like wiser, in-depth perspective when it comes to just the African experience and specifically being an immigrant coming to this country. Me, I'm a first generation. At the end of the day, I truly don't know like what it is to really come from another country, sometimes, most times with nothing and really start from the ground up creating a life for yourself. And I feel I just admire a lot of people in my family for where they started and where they're at now. And I feel like, especially with who's in office and just the negative light that has been just shown on immigrants in this country, I feel like my podcast and hopefully my viewers would benefit from having immigrant perspectives on my podcast and just foreign people sharing their experiences in America. I just really feel like that would be a good thing. Like, I don't know. I feel like positivity could really come from that. And going back again to the purpose, I feel like just for me personally and my family in the long run, it would really be nice having my episodes to just look back on. Even at the beginning of my podcast journey, I always thought of this like, we all die. Like life is fleeting. You never know, especially with the scare with my father, it just showed me even more like, no, I really have to do this now. Because imagine having your family pass over time, but it's such a gem to have these episodes, especially if I'm to have some of my older family members on here just to look back on and to also get their perspectives on things I probably would have never known if I didn't have this podcast. Like, I feel like this podcast really just helps me a lot when it comes to finding a reason to get vulnerable. I don't know, y'all. I'm just talking right now. But like, I don't think I would be having the conversations I'm having right now if it wasn't for this podcast and having, let's say, my mom, an uncle or an aunt, a cousin, even a friend of mine on here, and just using this platform to really just talk about certain topics. I don't think I'd find myself doing it as easy, like in a real life natural setting, if that makes sense. But yeah, like that's just what I'd really want, like personally for my family to benefit from my podcast and these episodes. And again, for viewers as well to be able to just grasp onto a different perspective. If you're not an immigrant or first generation son or daughter to an immigrant, like this would just be something that could be of use and hopefully enlighten your perspective on, the narratives that are being thrown out there in the media when it comes to what it truly means to be an immigrant. But yeah, just let's see what happens. But that's really what I have planned moving forward. I just need to really talk to my family and figure out who wants to come on. And we got our little jobs and everything going on, coordinating. But until then, this is still the beginning. And that's what I keep reminding myself. Like I'm still creating the foundation for the path that nowhere to hide is. This is still the beginning. I have so much to do for you guys. But I'm just personally proud of myself that I, as of now, have gotten to a place to where I'm not letting this podcast put no pressure on me anymore because this is my baby at the end of the day. This is something that's going to last for me and I just really hope over time viewers and everyone are just able to see what I'm trying to do with this. But anywho, I feel like this is gonna be a short episode because definitely I didn't want to just throw you guys into nonsense. I feel like we just really needed a nice little catch up episode. You're just drinking your little drinky drink or eating whatever you're eating on, listen to me, yap it up about my life and, heartbreak struggles, blase, blase. But I just really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And also to those who are listening, if you're going through a hard time, that pain is temporary, never lasts. There's always good and a brighter side to come out of things because definitely had to tell myself that these last couple months. And I feel like I'm at the brighter side that I, for some reason, could not imagine happening in the moment. But, that's depression. But other than that, more to come. Follow me on socials, and I will see you guys soon. But have a great rest of your evening, day, night, or wherever you're at. Bye.
Big smoke. Who, baby, you want me? Well, you can get this G-Wagon here for free. Cause when these guys were switching sides like halftime, you're one of the only people that were there for me. No cap, you worry when you don't hear from me. I know that communication is rare for me. I'm so tapped, but to be honest, when you're whipping the goosey.